Brought to you by Charity Mobile, the phone company that shares your values. More information is available at CharityMobile.com. There's no greater example of hubris in our time than the social media giant Facebook, and especially with its legendary fact-checking service. If you're anything like the typical viewer of Return to Tradition, you've almost certainly ran afoul of them at some point in the last 3 or so years, which is really when they seem to have become active. We see their little warnings on posts, mostly about secular issues, all the time. I mean, I don't go a single day without seeing one, honestly. And now they've finally found their way into Catholic posts about things about the faith and only about the faith. Facebook is now fact-checking reports of Eucharistic miracles. You have to see the story to believe it. Look, I know some of you watch me regularly who don't like what I do here much, but maybe on this one topic, we can all be in agreement. They should stay out of metaphysical discussions that they have zero expertise in. Let's take a look at this story. This starts with a simple statement. I was out in the wild on Facebook when I saw this. This was not reported by any Catholic outlet, even though LifeSite comes to mind as one that should probably talk about this because they've got resources to dig further than I'm going to be able to. So if anyone from LifeSite is seeing this, please feel free to reach out. I will happily direct you to where I saw this. I won't go expose the identity of the original poster on this piece here either, because they have every right to remain anonymous. They posted this short message on Facebook about a purported Eucharistic miracle that occurred just under 2 weeks ago in Ireland. Maybe you've heard about the story. This is from their post. Pay close attention to what they say here and what Facebook says, because this is unbelievable. And I don't mean the miracle is unbelievable. I mean this whole story. From their post, quote, Eucharistic miracle in Ireland. Cannot be fact-checked. It has yet to be scientifically analyzed. Corpus Christi Sunday, June 19th, 2022. Recently at Sunday Mass in St. Joseph's Church in Agamore, Ballinus near Knock, County Mayo, Ireland, a Eucharistic minister accidentally dropped a consecrated host to the floor while administering Holy Communion. The Indian parish priest put it in a small bowl of water to allow it to dissolve. Upon checking it sometime later, he discovered the water was blood-colored. He added some water and then later saw that the host had taken on the appearance of bloody flesh tissue, end quote. So the story is that a missionary priest in missionary country of Ireland has been saying a Novus Ordo Mass when the Eucharistic minister dropped the consecrated host while distributing Holy Communion. The priest did what is standard practice when this happens. He put the host in a small bowl of water so it would dissolve. But later, instead of dissolving, the host was discolored and had become the color of blood. Later, when he added more water, it had taken on the appearance of flesh instead of a communion host. That's the assertion of that post. And it sounds like the typical Eucharistic miracle story we hear out of the Novus Ordo periodically. And look, as an aside, people often misinterpret Eucharistic miracles as a heavenly endorsement of a parish or liturgical rite. But as a Novus Ordo deacon once explained to me, Eucharistic miracles are typically associated with widespread disbelief in the real presence. Think of their appearance as a sort of heavenly wake-up call or intervention, God lighting a neon sign to get people to believe in Him and His immense healing power in the most blessed sacrament of the altar. That God really wants you to believe in His real presence in the Eucharist to such a degree that He's willing to give you a sign and wonder right in front of you. Go back to what the Bible says about signs and wonders. The Eucharistic miracle is an interesting story by itself, and I'm sure many people have strong opinions about it. But here's the problem. If you were to click on that post, you'd see the photo attached has been blurred out by Facebook with the all-too-familiar warning that this story isn't real and that it was checked by independent fact-checkers. Now, for you and I, all other issues with Facebook and its practice here aside, we don't take independent fact-checking on matters of faith as anything other than a sad insult coming from people who wouldn't be able to independently fact-check correctly the real presence of our blessed Lord. They'd deny transubstantiation if they could. Incredibly, the notice says that this has been quote-unquote debunked, that no bloody Eucharist was at a church in Mayo. Yes, Facebook debunked a purported miracle of the church, in their own mind anyway. Their so-called experts did what the church authorities in Rome, using independent scientists, which is what Rome does, what takes their teams months or even years to determine. Facebook did it in mere days. probably from the comfort of their own home office. And if you believe that, I have some prime beachfront property here in Oklahoma for sale. Let me know. There are notice links to an article from some outfit calling itself thejournal.ie. Here's their article on this. It's pretty short. Quote, a photo has been shared thousands of times on social media in recent days, does not show a consecrated communion host that turned red after being dropped in water in a church in Mayo. A Facebook post sharing the photo claims a Eucharistic miracle recently took place at St. Joseph's Church in Oghamore County, Mayo. A Eucharistic minister accidentally dropped a consecrated host to the floor whilst administering Holy Communion. The Indian parish priest put it in a small bowl of water to allow it to dissolve, the post explains. Upon checking it sometime later, he discovered the water was blood-colored. He added some more water and then later saw that the host had taken on the appearance of bloody flesh tissue. It adds, according to Catholic Church doctrine, communion bread and wine is transformed into the body and blood of Christ following a Eucharistic prayer. The Facebook message has racked up over 3,400 shares and 1,600 likes, along with hundreds of comments, many of which affirm the claim that it is a miracle. It has also received coverage in news outlets, including national and international publications, that included the photo in their articles. However, a Google reverse image search quickly reveals the photo was not taken in Mayo and was actually snapped in the U.S. state of Utah in 2015. So what happened in Utah? In that instance, a host turned red a week after it was consecrated at St. Francis Xavier Church in Cairns, Utah. It was then put on public display, a move that the diocese described as premature and imprudent. A scientific investigation subsequently revealed that the red substance wasn't the blood of Christ or blood of any kind. It was something much more commonplace, mold. Monsignor M. Francis Magnon, who chaired the investigation, said in a statement, quote, the observed change in the host could be satisfactorily and conclusively explained by natural causes, namely the growth of what is commonly known as red bread mold or red bacteria, most likely Neurosporocrasa or Serratia marcescens. That's not the end of the story. Father Gerald David of Oghamore Parish confirmed to the Journal that an incident at the church in Mayo is currently being probed by church investigators. At present, there's an investigation by the church authorities regarding this, and I'm not at liberty to discuss the details concerning this matter, as you'll appreciate that this matter is under investigation, Father David said. End quote. So the problem here is that someone took a photo from a different Eucharistic miracle, purported one that the investigators found was actually mold, and then used it to talk about what happened in Ireland. But here's the warning from Facebook again, in case you've forgotten, that no Eucharistic miracle took place in a church in Mayo, which is in Ireland. So, because someone used the wrong image, Facebook has decided to debunk in their own minds a possible miracle of the church. Talk about hubris. I'm curious about those who are watching in Ireland and what they think about this. So if that's you, let me know in the comments if you've heard about the story. Since the only reporting I've seen on this here in America was on Facebook and on this Facebook post that went across the internet. And I don't take that kind of reporting all that seriously for what I hope are obvious reasons. I think it is prudentially a good idea to wait until the church actually makes some ruling on this. I also don't typically report on alleged Eucharistic miracles as a matter of course. But here I want to know what is being said in Ireland about this because I'm genuinely curious. I don't take a position on its veracity either way personally. But there you have it. Facebook is inserting itself into church affairs with no good reason. They try to discredit a purported Eucharistic miracle in one place because the original post used a photo from an event that allegedly turned out to not be true from several years ago. So be careful in the future if you're posting these kinds of things on Facebook, and go check out the Catholic social media site SP3RN, which is run by a single proprietor and whose terms of service require you to affirm your baptismal vows. You know how at the Easter Mass every year you reaffirm your vows of your baptism? Those are part of the user terms over at SP3RN. So go check that website out. Let the proprietor know that I sent you. No, I'm not, getting a paid endorsement for this. You can find me on there as well. There's a link in the description box to my profile, actually. And let me know what you think of this story in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.